Wasted money on cures. Forgot how to fix myself. They say that time is free. Then why is it so precious? Oh, I'll say memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead. Time is running out. Time is running out. Lately I've lost my track. I've sailed the deeper seas, hoping to find something to bring back better times. Oh, I'll say memories in my head, like Polaroids on walls. They remind you to look ahead. But time is running out. 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 Time is running. Time is running out. But time is running out. What if my best days are over? They can be over. They can't be over now. Time is running out. What if my best days are over? They can't be over now. Time is running out. Time is running out. Time is running out.
Yeah, welcome to. So Graham's just said in my earphone, here we go. He's absolutely spot on. It's
Again.
our third A-Level Business live stream today, Wednesday, the 16th of April. So, and it's AQA for this session. And we're going to spend 35 minutes, no more than that, on the new topics, the topics that are new to the specification. Not that they will come up, but I can imagine some of them definitely will make an appearance. So that's often what the examiner does. So new topics today, G.
Yeah, so I think just to shed a bit of light on it, the AQA sort of amended the specification and sort of took some stuff out and added some new stuff in. You might not be familiar with that and you don't need to be, but we just thought we would do a session covering the topics that have been added in. No, we're not saying they're going to come up or they're more likely to come up, but they could come up because they are new. We don't know.
Yeah, but it would be remiss of us not to focus on those, which is why we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly why we're doing it.
Talking about remissive reasons why we... Anyway, talking of things we do to help AQA students, so we are. If you're looking for maybe a change of scene for a day and you want to focus in, lock in on AQA exam technique, we're coming down to London for 2 more days of AQA Grade Booster.
We are.
29th of April, I think it's a Tuesday, we're at Stratford City. A few seats left for that one. And then 2 days later, we're over at Westfield White City on the Thursday, the 1st of May. If you fancy doing AQA. Don't forget, we're also doing things like AQA biology for the first time. We've got economics, we've got geography, psychology, sociology, so lots of other subjects are available. Not as exciting as business, but there we go. So if you can join us for those, that'd be cool. Should we make a start, G? Let's go over to our little activity.
Yeah, Thanish will just cover that after this activity.
Let's stick it on now.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll do it now. So basically, they are the new topics for the specific new. So there's lots of topics still haven't come up. Well, not lots of topics, but but these are new topics of specification that that have a potential to come up. So we thought we'd do a live stream on it.
Now, Graham hasn't seen the name of the brand, so I'm
haven't,
hoping
no.
that he won't get it. So I'll guide us through. Now, don't use ChatGTP or Google. Let's see
No.
whether you can get it.
Founded
Having
in
said that, I got these clues from
1911.
ChatGTP. Founded in 1911 as the Upton Machine Company. So if you think, well, I know a business that was founded in 1911, but it was the Downtown Machine Company. It's not that one.
Is it West Ham United?
Upton Park. Very good. No one got it on clue 1. Not that I gave you much time. Clue 2 got its current name in 1950 due to the success of its automatic washing machines. So that's a bit of a clue there that this is a washing machine business.
This clue's got me in a spin.
That's it. He hasn't got Sam in a spin. Sam's asked, but he's put a question mark after his answer, so we can't confirm it at this stage. It's not Dyson, Razzie, Mateus. The world's largest appliance manufacturer, and a home appliance manufacturer, so washing machines, spinners, $21 billion of annual sales. It's not Curry's. They sell all kinds of other things. This is a manufacturer of home appliances.
Yeah.
It's not IKEA, although they make kitchens where you can stick these in. They make 70 million units every year, and they're not small units from 70 factories worldwide. So it's not Bosch, it's not Hotpoint, it's not Curry's, it's not Philips. All of these businesses, all these answers are genuinely good answers, aren't they? It's not Wilco. But most importantly, it was hit by a £300 million cost in the UK due to product failures.
Yeah.
Product failures. Sam has said it's definitely Whirlpool. Let's put Sam's answer on the screen there.
I think there was an early Whirlpool answer, wasn't it?
It was Sam. Yeah, but it was a question mark after it, so that doesn't count.
All right. Yeah, okay. All right, okay.
It is indeed Whirlpool.
It is
Do you use a Whirlpool brand? They own things like Indesit, don't they?
Yeah, every time I talk to my kids about washing machines, I say, Dad, put a sock in it. They say, Dad, put a sock in it. That's what they say.
Oh, dear. Oh. Anyway, there we go. Don't know what to say after that. Let's get on to some MCQs. But before we do, just a quick reminder, what are these new topics? So I think we touch on all of these at some stage in this session, the next 25 minutes or so. So these are the topics that are new in the specification that weren't there before, therefore, in theory, could be examined. That's not to say they will be, but it's a good chance that some will appear maybe in an MCQ or a 9-marker or something. So that's the reason for doing this session. Now, there may be some stuff here that you've not come across in your revision so far. That's even better news, isn't it? Because it means that we're covering it. So let's get on with our first MCQ. Do you want to do this one, G? We'll do that
okay, so the leadership style has been made more explicit on the specification.
Yeah.
So in which leadership style does a leader make decisions independently with little or no input from team members? Is it democratic, paternalistic, laissez-faire, autocratic?
I feel like I'm looking in the mirror with that question. I don't
know. What for C? Is it democratic, paternalistic, laissez-faire, autocratic? It's definitely one of those, isn't it? Definitely one of those.
Yeah, I agree with Pippa and Esther and Dania. And hundreds of others. We've almost got 200 people in the live chat. And the answer is, shall I show the answer, G?
Yes, reveal the answer.
Okay, I'll just click the right button.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
just focus on the
autocratic
technical stuff.
So yeah, autocratic is when a leadership, when a leadership style, when a leader makes a decision and basically tells the members of staff to.
Michael's put an interesting point. Tannenbaum Schmidt Continuum. Is that still on the spec? I think it is. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's tells, isn't it? Autocratic.
It is tells. Yeah, it is. Yes, Blake Mouton got taken off.
Blake Mouton got taken off. Yeah, so it's D. It's very little consultation with other team members.
Now,
good stuff.
Now, good evaluation will tell us that some in some situations managers maybe will there may be a predominant leadership style, but so maybe a manager's got a predominantly democratic leadership style, but in some situations will maybe need to adopt an autocratic leadership style. So some leadership styles, there may be a dominant one, but it can be fluid, depending on the situation the business finds themselves in.
Yep. Now, here's a topic that's never been examined because it's on the spec for the first time. So a marketing manager wants to invest in video content to post on social media platforms used by its target audience. Which one of those 4 factors is most likely to determine whether the video is effective as viral marketing? So 4 factors there that might influence the success or the effectiveness of the video content, but one of them will be most likely as viral marketing. Is it A, B, C, or D?
Yeah.
It's I don't know, I've just got a feeling about viral marketing as it's new in the marketing section of the specification. It's current.
Very
So
topical.
lots of people are going Katie, Freya, Leona, Wilco, who was pretty sharp on the previous question. Also going for the same answer. It is indeed C. It's the emotional response. The other three factors might influence the effectiveness of the video content, but that's not viral marketing. How much you spend when you post it, how much you spend promoting it. That's not viral marketing, but the emotional response is. So viral marketing is content that triggers an emotional response, and therefore that's what creates the virality of that piece. And often you get free promotion.
Yeah, definitely.
And much more widespread distribution as a consequence of the emotional response that it triggers. So that's the thing for that one. Do you want to do this first two-statement question, G?
Yeah, okay, so just in case production involves keeping buffer stocks to anticipate potential disruption to production or fluctuations in demand. Is that true or false? Or statement 2, modern factories with robotics operate without human workers. Is that true or false? So read the statements carefully and decide whether each statement is true or false and choose the corresponding letter. So just in case, so just in time was on the specification and they've added in just in case.
Yep.
Modern factories with robotics operate without human workers.
Automation and robotics is an emphasis, isn't it now? An increased emphasis on in 3.4, I think.
Lots of students going for a couple of A's, but the majority going for B.
Most going for B. Yeah. Should we have a look?
Yeah. So yes, statement 1 is true. Yes, just in case production does involve keeping buffer stock, just in case there are potential disruptions to production or fluctuations in demand. And yeah, factories with robotics still have, humans within them. So, the fully automated factory doesn't exist yet. There has to have some human component to that. But it ties in with more capital intensive as well, doesn't it? In labor than labor intensive production is even more capital intensive, but there will always be a labor element within it.
Absolutely.
Great answers.
Yeah, just in case, I think it's interesting, wasn't it? Particularly, you can link that with inventory control charts, buffer stocks, and also factors influencing cost and demand.
It's very interesting, wasn't it? Because after the pandemic, there was a big semiconductor shortage, wasn't it, which influenced and impacted on UK car production. And if the UK car manufacturers had some semiconductors in buffer stock, then production wouldn't have been as effective as it was. Great stuff.
Good stuff. Now, these questions are all new, hopefully exam style, exam standard, so they're not meant to be easy, but you're doing well. This one, I think, is a really hard one, but it is. It's really important. So quality control, statement 1, is quality control, can it be carried out at any stage in the production process? What do you think, true or false? And then quality assurance, the little sister or big brother of quality control, is that focused on processes that ensure quality is achieved? Is that true or false? So 2 statements about the 2 different parts of quality on the specification. Yeah. This often elicits a misunderstanding about the difference between the 2. What do we think now? And it's done just that based on the live feed. So I'm glad we added this one in, Jay, because this is really important. A lot of teachers struggle a little bit with this as well. So let's go through it. The answer is indeed A, both are true. Wilco and Jamie got to A, but most people went for C, so you thought statement 1 was false. Well, let's go through it. Quality control is about inspection. Quality control can take place, and inspection can take place at any stage of the production process. It's not just about checking quality at the end of the process. So the way to remember this is quality control is about inspection. So you might inspect the raw materials before they get used in production. And checking a sample of, carrots before they get used in a restaurant. It's about checking the quality or inspecting the quality of work in progress as it goes through the production process. And it's definitely about inspecting the quality of production when it's finished. Quality control is not at the end of the process, although it does take place there, but it can be at any stage of production. So the way to remember this is quality control is about inspecting. Quality assurance is about ensuring quality happens. It's about processes. It's cultural in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about working hard to make sure you don't need to inspect. That is the difference. So I love Michael's point here. Quality control is reactive. It's about inspecting, trying to find errors, find defective output either at the start or during or at the end of the process, whereas quality assurance is proactive, taking statements. So that is a really important difference, I think, because I'm glad we did that question. Alexandra says, I thought quality assurance was done throughout and control at the end. No. Quality, it's not that. That's typically how it's, sometimes how it's taught, which is wrong. So quality control is about inspection during production, the start, middle, and at the end, or all three. Quality assurances mean you don't need to check, you don't need to inspect because the processes assure quality.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the truth. So there we go. Should we do another question, G? What about this one?
Okay, so which of the following is a common characteristic of social enterprises? A, they must be registered as charities. B, they cannot make any profit. C, they cannot pay their directors or employees. D, they reinvest most profits back into their social mission. So, which of the following is a common characteristic of a social enterprise? A, B,
Just
C, or
whilst
D?
we're looking at that one, just people asking, what is TQM, Total Quality Management? That is a type of quality assurance.
Yeah.
From the previous question. But now we're on to social enterprises. Yeah, we're doing well on this one, Daniel.
For D, yeah.
Yeah, Lenny and others. Should we have a look?
Daniel's very confident in his answer. He's put it in 7 times.
Yeah, says Cam, to be fair.
Yeah, so they reinvest most profits back into their social mission. Of course, social enterprises can make a profit, but they just reinvest those profits back into their social mission. They don't have to be registered as charities at all. Nope. You can get community interest companies which are not registered charities, and they cannot pay their directors and employees. That's wrong. They can. That's just a cost like any other business. It's just they must reinvest the profits back into their social mission. Yeah,
that is the defining characteristic, isn't it, of social enterprise, which links to mission statements and that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
Excellent stuff. We got another one here. Operations managers in a business have set a target of 0 defects in production. So what category of functional objective is that target in? What type of functional objective is that? Is it a quality objective? Is it a flexibility objective, a speed of response objective, or a cost objective? What do we think?
Yeah, not an easy question.
Number of people in the live chat thinking I'm called Jeff. I'm not. That's my stunt double who does economics. But I won't take it personally, G. I'll just keep going. Well done to Emily and Hypnotic and Georgia and a number of others. The answer isn't Joel Linton, although he is a quality player. But the answer is indeed.
Is he?
Quality. Yes, he is. I know you beg to differ, but I think he's a terrific player. Well, they're a terrific team, really, aren't they? Newcastle. Hard to beat, really, G. But it's quality, isn't it? So a 0 defects objective would be a functional objective that is focused on quality. And, of course, you could link that, couldn't you, to quality assurance, what we've just been talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
0 defects. The processes, the culture that exists that means that there are 0 defects during and at the end of production. If you don't have 0 defects, you may need to implement quality control, which, as we now know, takes place throughout the production process, not just at the end. And as Stanish has pointed out, an objective of 0 defects should mean 0 or minimal costs of wasted production, which could give a business competitive advantage. So it's terrific linking of concepts there. We've got one more, G.
Yeah. So in a crisis, managers should not communicate with stakeholders until all the factors are known. So crisis management is new. The most important management decisions during a crisis take place early in the crisis. Are those statements true or false? So crisis management
new, isn't it?
New, crisis management within a crisis.
That wouldn't really do as a definition, would it? Because you simply reorganize the words.
I wouldn't advocate using that technique, to be fair. But so true or false. So, we've got a bit of a mixed bag. Most are going for,
Yeah.
What do we think?
Now, crisis management, right at the end of the spec. So some students might not have even been taught this yet. It literally it's the last two lines of the specification alongside contingency planning.
It is.
So if you're if you've not yet covered this, have a think. We'll do a little bit of stuff on crisis management for a minute.
And both of those are linked, aren't they? Really, you can link contingency planning with crisis management as well, can't you?
Thanos has been on fire today, and I think that's the correct answer. Should we have a look?
Yeah. Yeah, so you know, in a crisis manager, you should not communicate. You know that is false. You want to communicate as early as possible, really. And the most important management decisions during a crisis, do take place early on. That can set the scene for how that crisis is managed. And as it lends itself to the crisis management to an essay question, really, doesn't it?
It does.
It does lend itself to a 25-mark essay question. Yeah,
I like Carfredo's comment here. She's quite nice, which in a way reflects what we were doing with quality assurance and quality control, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Contingency planning is a bit like quality assurance in a way. It's making sure that you think about what might happen, what might go wrong. Crisis management is what happens when things go wrong.
Yeah, but if you have a contingency plan, that should theoretically ease.
Should help. Yeah,
it should help the crisis management situation, shouldn't it?
Yeah, we'll do a little bit on crisis management later in this session. Should we do a calculation, G? Why not?
Okay.
I think we've gone long enough.
We have, yeah. So we need a calculation. So a business wants to increase inventory turnover by moving from just in case to just in time. If cost of sales increases by 10% next year, what will average inventory levels be next? What will average inventory levels need to be next year to reach the target of 20 times? So on screen, we've got the cost of sales 450,000. We've got the target inventory turnover 20 times. We need to work out what the average inventory levels need to be next year to reach this target. Remember, cost of sales increases.
What we're doing really here is doing an inventory turnover calculation in reverse, aren't we? But backwards, in the context of just in case, just in time.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. So we need to work backwards, don't we, with this one?
Yep. Have a go.
Not an easy question.
It's not.
It's not.
Nothing is beyond the team of people who join us for these live streams.
I think I've seen the right answer already.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So time is certainly not running out for Monty Hopkins.
Yeah, a number of people just go back on the previous question. The difference between contingency planning and crisis management. We'll cover this in about 5 minutes, but it's right at the end of the spec. So maybe 10 minutes of revision on it. It's all you need. In fact, this session really is all you need, I would say.
Have we got the application spinner in today?
We have. Just for Razzie.
So Sam in his honour there has Sam Honour, is working out, which is great.
Matthias, a number of others not sure how to work it out from the numbers given. However, Sam has given us the workings. Shall I show it?
Yeah. Let's go through it.
There it is.
Yeah, perfect. So we've got the. It's always really important to show you're working out in any calculation question. That way you can still get marks even if you get the final answer wrong. Always show your process. So step 1, work out the cost of sales for next year, which is increase 450,000 by 10%, multiplying that by 1.1 to get 495,000. Then we work out average inventory if cost of sales is 495,000 and the target inventory turnover is 20 times. So we just divide that by 20 to get £24,750.
Yeah, and that's it's a value. So it's not units. That's the value of inventory, the cost of inventory. So a number of people said units.
Yeah.
That's not units. That's the average value of inventory. So we need to, because we already know that the inventory turnover is 20 times. Don't we? So inventory turnover there. So we're looking for the average inventory. Yeah.
But to get the number was fantastic, isn't it? That's not an easy calculation.
No, really good work. Well done for Rhea, Sam, and David, and others. KT.
Yeah.
Awesome work. That was a tough question. That's as tough as it gets.
It was a tough question.
And we managed to get a calculation in on the new topics, even though most of them don't involve calculations. Oh, shit. Well, Razzie's saying, where's the application spinner? Here it is. But we've got a couple of them. But we just wanted to spend a few minutes on sampling methods. So if I just go spend a minute or two just explaining the 3 different methods of sampling that you need to know about in AQA, and then it's over to you to have a think about how we might apply it in a case study. So you only need to know 3. And this sampling is included in the marketing part of the specification. So unit 3.3, specifically in the context of marketing research. So I think that's how it would be examined if it turned up. And there's 3 methods you need to know about. One is quota, one is random, one is stratified. So I think it's quite likely if it came up to be probably a multiple choice question, because you can write some quite nice multiple choice questions on it. It could be something else, of course. So quota sampling, the way to think about this is we set some targets, some buckets, some quotas for how many samples we want from our population. And it doesn't have to be random. We just fill the buckets until we. So let's say, for example, I've put an example on screen there, but let's give you another example. Let's say you want to do some quota sampling on teachers and students. 50 teachers, 50 students. Let's say at the cinema, we just ask the first 50 we come across, get them to fill the survey in. The next 50 teachers. Are you a teacher or a student? There we go. Once the quota's done, that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing. We might be biased as to who we ask. Doesn't really matter. As long as the quota is filled, that's all that matters. However, if we wanted to be a little bit sharper, we might say, no, we want to be random sampling. We want to eliminate the chance of bias here, selection bias. So what we have to do is design a sampling method that gives every member of the population an equal chance of selection. So why should we do that? Well, because we may want to make decisions around the sample. Therefore, we don't want selection bias to come into it, because that might skew the results. So we might use a random number generator to select the sample. In this case, the example there, 1,000 customers from a database. So in other words, we use a random generator to choose a sample. Now, stratified is like a mixture of quota and random. So stratified is like quota. You divide your population into strata or groups based on particular characteristics. For example, it could be age or location or whatever it is. And then with stratified, you then use random sampling for each strata or group. Yeah, really important that. Stratified does involve random sampling, but you don't random sample until you've split the population up. Is that okay, G? Is that like a little introduction there?
Perfect. I couldn't have put that better myself.
Well, that's very kind. So with that in mind, shall we have a go?
Yeah.
So this time, let's take random sampling, our middle one there. So here with random sampling, we want to organize something which will help us maybe make some marketing decisions. So how could this business, we're going to choose one of those 6, use random sampling as part of its marketing? Its marketing mix.
And we have a random spinner for a random sample.
It is. Well, I mean, you can't argue with that, can you? Because we know it's random, as everybody on the live stream knows. Netflix. How could Netflix use, or how and why could Netflix use random sampling to help it make decisions about its marketing mix? What do you think? I'll have a look in the live chat to see whether we get any suggestions in.
So it's all about applying your knowledge of Netflix or the industry to random sampling. How can they use it as part of the marketing mix?
If you think about Netflix, literally hundreds of millions of subscribers, haven't they?
Yeah.
Let's take Tanish's answer, which is really good. We'll pick 2 or 3 out and put them on the screen. Could you take a random sample of subscribers? If I've added the word in there, a random sample of subscribers, which would add some application by using a random number generator. There we go. There's our random sampling to decide perhaps the best themes for new shows. In other words, picking a random sample of subscribers.
To say what's your favorite theme, or what themes should we be looking more at? Yeah.
Yep. JT suggesting you could, again, a method of selecting people randomly to allow them then to complete a survey on the quality of their original TV shows or anime.
That's really good. Stuff. That's a really good answer. Really good.
Really good. Katie's saying, asking the audience who've been randomly generated, or their names have, in order to find out their most popular types of movies. That's definitely about Netflix, not about Tesco's. Yep. Loving this. Lots of great application. Sophie saying, taking a random sample of subscribers, the use of the word subscriber, G, that's application.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what we want
to identify which TV shows, that's application, are the most popular. Awesome stuff. I think as we do more of these application spinners, the quality of the application gets better, doesn't it? Do you want to have a look at what I came up with, G, and take me through it?
Yeah, Netflix could use random sampling to test features in their user interface. It could do this by randomly inviting 20,000 subscribers globally to experience changes and test their experience with the app before deciding on permanent implementation for all app users. So in the red there, we can clearly see the application.
Yep.
And you're just talking about randomly inviting a number of subscribers, 20,000. So, yeah, great application. Some great answers there in the chat window as well, isn't he?
Just looking at some more coming in. And thank you for taking the time to type those in as well. Really good. Minimum viable product has made an appearance. Awesome stuff. Should we do another one then? We've done random. Yeah. Should we do stratified? Because we've mentioned there's a difference, isn't there, between random and stratified, which is a stage. So I won't say any more because we've just covered that. Let's spin the wheel. Who do you want it to land on, G? What do you think? Netflix again?
Premier Inn.
Okay. Your wish?
Oh, would you believe it? Would you believe? Premier Inn. So how could this business use stratified sampling as part of its marketing mix? What do we think?
So I guess here we're going to be looking for answers that sort of identify how you might split the different users or users of Premier Inn, different customers, different types of Premier Inn hotels. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see what people come up with. I'm getting ahead of myself there, really, but that was what we're looking for. Stratas, aren't we here? Layers.
Yeah. So layers and how they can sort of divide their hotels, really, aren't we? That's what we're after.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Let's see what we've got coming here. So Fran's suggesting using stratas based on age. So demographics is definitely one way of doing it, isn't it? No question about it.
Definitely.
So Premier Inn could create subgroups based on age. Maybe add a bit of application, the age of guests. That would be application. Then randomly selecting guests in that group to see how often they book rooms. Rooms is application. Yeah. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
Any more you spotted? Some great ones coming through here.
Yeah, a lot by age. There's some by families and things like that.
Yeah.
Also, what's it about Premier Inn, isn't it? They have a lot of city centre ones, which are often used for business, like locations, aren't they?
Razi's making the point around different characteristics between higher and lower income sleepers. I suppose a sleeper is a guest. Some great. There's so many answers coming through. Let's just pick a couple more out. What do you think? What about this one from Callum? I like this. This looks interesting. So Premier Inn could use stratified sampling to divide people into how much they spend. So that's based around spending characteristics, and to see what type of rooms they're being booked and how long they're being booked for. Exactly that. So you look at what people spend and then try and analyze, are there some patterns that you might be able to use in your marketing mix for what type of rooms people buy and how long they're booked for. That's absolutely terrific, because there are two different types of room, aren't there, at Premier Inn? I don't know whether you've ever stayed at Premier Inn Plus room, Jim. I do.
I was just about to say that. So they're generally on the top floor, aren't they? And so you could use that, couldn't you? You could basically target those who only book those type of rooms, or maybe even in a certain location. Yeah, you could do that, like London city centre locations.
Was that book a room? Was it
book a room? Yeah.
So I've gone with Premier Inn could use stratified sampling to gain insights into guest satisfaction. There we go.
Nice.
Good application at different hotels by dividing their hotels into stratified, or groups, such as based on hotel size, location type, e.g. city centre or airport, or average room rate or price. They might gain insights as to which hotels need to improve their customer service. So, for example, they might find that by doing some sampling of, city centre Premier Inns compared with airport Premier Inns, they might find that actually customer service at the airports isn't as good. Maybe. From their sampling and their research, and therefore do something about it with their marketing mix. So I think that's decent application. That
some good stuff there.
Well done in the application. So we'll do more application spinners as we go through our preparation. Should we do a quick exercise on crisis management?
So this is I think this is our final activity, isn't it?
There's one more. We're going to have a quick look at a 9 mark on crowdfunding.
All right.
But this is our last big activity. Yep.
Also, between 2015 and 2020, leading home appliance brand Whirlpool, which we looked at the very start, faced a crisis when their Hotpoint Interset and Creeder Tumble dryers were linked to over 750 household fires. A design flaw had allowed lint from clothing to contact heating elements. Despite identifying the issue, Whirlpool delayed a full product recall. It was eventually forced to recall 5.3 million units at a cost of over 300 million. Whirlpool's market share dropped 11%. Following the scandal, that would have, of course, affected market capitalization. So it gave me two ways in which Whirlpool could avoid a similar crisis with its household appliances.
Now, what's our golden rule, G? Remind me.
If there's data in the paper, there's data in your answers. So, we've got some data in there. We've got some numbers we could use.
Yep.
And we should try and get those in our answer.
We've got a little timer, so let's put a minute on it whilst people have a think about some ways they could avoid a crisis. In a way, it's partly contingency planning, isn't it? But there's other things as well, aren't there?
Yeah.
A similar crisis would be perhaps managing the crisis better. That would be another way of thinking about this as well.
Yeah. But there's definitely an issue around some of those products, isn't there?
Yep.
So, not Tom, yeah. Good, yeah. Time is nearly running out. Yeah, that's it. Try and correct the design flaw. Yeah, maybe a bigger focus on quality could prevent those issues arising in the future. You would imagine that's probably one of the first things it would do, wouldn't you? Given that market share dropped by 11%.
It's a nice one from Richard there. Effective research and development during the development phase as well, isn't it? And the introduction phase of releasing new versions of tumble dryers. Nice application. And Callum has hinted at crisis management, hasn't it? Going back to that multiple choice question. Whirlpool should make an immediate recall for that model or any other models with a part that's causing the fire.
Good application.
And also apologise. And also a warranty. Warranties are often linked, aren't they, to quality? Yeah. And often household appliances come with like a 12-month or 2-year warranty. But if you're really absolutely sure about your quality, you might offer a slightly better one, wouldn't it?
Some brilliant answers.
Loving this, Jamie. And Wilco's answer here. Quality assurance is one of the focuses there. Contingency planning. A number of people talking about contingency planning, which is proactive rather than reactive. Loving that. Emily's gone for reassurance that products are checked. Quality control checked during production to prevent unwanted costs and bad reputations.
Great answers.
Awesome. Alexandra's answer there. I'll put some more on the screen. Should we just go through what we went with? Because I'm conscious of time. Yeah. What do you think to these two, mate?
Yeah, so again, I think a lot of people didn't, particularly quality assurance.
Yep.
Whirlpool could implement stronger quality assurance processes before products such as dryers and washing machines are launched. This should avoid that. It can never guarantee it, really, but that's the hope. That's why we use hedging word should. This should avoid new products launching design flaws, which might potentially put households at risk. By conducting more thorough safety testing, specifically focused on fire risks and using independent testers to verify results, Whirlpool could catch design flaws before appliances are used, preventing both the safety hazard and subsequent damage to the reputation. And some students got this about crisis management, didn't they?
Definitely.
Whirlpool's delayed recall response worsened the scandal's impact, eventually costing 300 million and 11% market share. They could develop a crisis management plan that prioritizes immediate action when safety issues emerge, rather than delaying the recall of 5.3 million dangerous units. Immediate response, acknowledging the problem and offering quick solutions, would demonstrate commitment to customer safety and would demonstrate Whirlpool puts customer safety above short-term financial gain. Perfect.
I think that number 2 answer there on crisis management, there's a good example there, isn't it? If there's data in the case study, use the data in the answer. So Alfredo and others have included the data. We've given some data. The cost of not responding ended up being £300 million. There's a reason why you should have better crisis management and possibly invest in quality assurance. 11% market share, whether they're the global market leader, that's a huge drop, isn't it?
That is huge. Absolutely huge.
Yeah. So there we go. I'm not sure you need much more for crisis management than what we've covered today. And I think Whirlpool is perhaps a good example to use if you do
Really
get a
good
question
example.
and you want a bit of application to add in maybe a 25 marker or whatever it is. I think the Whirlpool one is possibly certainly my favourite example of how not to manage a crisis.
Yeah, there was a recent crisis at Heathrow Airport, was there not?
There was.
When it caught fire. So I think it's just looking for those case studies to build your application, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. Well, let's finish as we always do with an exam style question. Now, in subsequent sessions, we'll have a look at 16 markers and 25 markers. But for now, we're just working our way through some new topics. And in this case, looking at a 9-mark question. So here's the question. A new business has an innovative product it wants to launch. Okay, there's a bit of context there that we should hopefully reflect in our answer. Analyze how the use of crowdfunding could help the new product succeed. So what we have to do with these 12 markers, and you should always spend a minute unpicking them, is to work out what the start point is. What's it about? What do we need to show knowledge and understanding of? Where do we need to get to our endpoint? And is there anything in the wording, the situation, for example, that we need to address in our answer? And if you do that, you're not going to go far wrong. And even if you write relatively little, you'll be focused on the question. So it's the best way of revising, unpicking questions. So the start point in this case is crowdfunding. So we need to show knowledge and understanding of crowdfunding. Do you need to start with the definition? No. Can you? Yes. Should you? No. As long as you show knowledge and understanding at some stage in the answer, you'll get the knowledge and understanding marks, the AO1 marks. We need to get to, in this case, it's about the success of the product, isn't it? The new product. I mean, that's how and why crowdfunding might help. But there is something, and thanks, by the way, to those who've already started answering in the live chat. We'll stick some of those on the screen shortly. There is something in the wording we have to focus on. We talked about a new business with an innovative product. So that has to be in your answer for you to fully meet the demands of the question. And of course, with this one, we only need one paragraph, don't we? It's just analyze how. So you can write as many as you want, but you don't need them. So analyze how. So a number of people have started typing in some possible answers to this. How might it help the new product succeed? Let's have a look. What have we got here?
I'm just looking through some of the chat window stuff.
Yeah, some good ones coming in. Let's pick a few out maybe that you spot, G. Really, you only need to pick one way here, don't you? A number of people are picking out a couple. A number of people going down the finance route, talking about how it might help the product succeed, although it's really, possibly. You'd have to, I think that's harder to argue because you have to explain how that might enable the business to survive. But I think the word innovative product and new business, I think that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah.
Michael's, let's put Michael's on the screen here. I think this will be a good point to develop. Using
good application.
platforms such as GoFundMe, there's your application. Accessing a large range of potential investors and potential users. And I think that's the point, isn't it? It would help generate awareness, generate word of mouth promotion, which may save money. But the point is it's generating an awareness of this product, this innovative new product. So a number of people are going down the financing argument, which I understand, but I think that's a harder one. Let's have a look, see what else. Have you spotted any more, G? Lots of great answers coming in.
Yeah, I think a lot are around the finance route, aren't they? Talking about here, I'm trying to find one which goes beyond.
Building publicity for the innovative products, likely to create a new customer base. There we go.
That's a good one.
Really good.
That is a good one, yeah, especially as they're trying to, make the new product launch succeed.
Yep.
Which is really important.
Yeah, I think it's the innovative product that is the key to fully meeting the demands of this question. Should we go through an answer, G, just to help illustrate that, and then take us through it, see what you think?
Yeah, so one way is building a base of product enthusiasts. So there was some of us alluding to that in the chat window there. As a new product, innovative crowdfunding by making the product available to many small investors or first users is likely to quickly build a base of customer advocates. I'm struggling to say that.
Champions.
Champions, customer champions. As Brewdog discovered. So I think, BrewDog's a great example, as BrewDog discovered when they first used crowdfunding to raise finance for newbies, equity for punks. First users of an innovative product often promote their ownership or use of the product to others via social media. So we've got some good use terminology there, which may help build awareness of the product in the target customer segment. This is likely to help the product succeed, as the early crowdfunding backers may turn from being just customers to enthusiastic product ambassadors whose recommendation is more likely to be trusted by other potential customers than traditional promotion methods. So that's just one way you can build an argument that really went against the majority of using the finance. This was about raising awareness, really, to help make that new product succeed.
Yeah, I think so. You could probably get to level 3 with the argument about finance. You just have to explain how and why equity or non-debt finance could help a new product succeed. But I could imagine a line of argument there. It helps finance more promotion of the innovative product, therefore building customers, getting cash in. But I think it was the fact that it was an innovative product.
Yeah.
Crowdfunding, often the ones that succeed the best on crowdfunding platforms, or most don't succeed, are the ones that are genuinely innovative, and therefore quite a lot of people want to be the first to use it, don't they?
Yeah. Michael's raised a good point there. So I mean, it can be, for business with ethical objectives. Crowdfunding's often used by businesses who often more traditional sources of finance may not be available.
And it's not always to raise money for a business. It can be raising money for a project or a new product. And BrewDog, of course, have gone on to have all kinds of ethical issues, particularly around their management and organizational culture.
Definitely.
But crowdfunding is, it's not easy to raise money on crowdfunding. It really isn't. It's not easy to get accepted onto these platforms. And even if you do get accepted, there's no guarantee that you'll get any or all of the finance that you're looking for. So bear that in mind when you evaluate.
And Hypnotic there, you wouldn't need to use BrewDog to get the full marks. You can use you could just talk generally about products and things like that. So you don't need to do that, no.
Start that in as a specific example. You don't need a specific example. In the same way, you don't need to start with a definition, do you, G? So there's lots of knowledge and understanding there.
Yeah. I noticed there was a little bit of discussion in the chat there about definitions. Start by a definition if you wish. But there's really no need. Sometimes the danger of starting with a definition is if you get a question on just in time and you accidentally define just in case, you can be in big trouble. And also, so you just make that call.
So we've been through
a lot, haven't we, today?
Or just about, I think, every one of the new topics. Let's just do a quick double check, shall we? I'll stick it on the screen just to make sure. And we might have missed one out, but let's have a look. What have we gone? We've done social enterprises yet, management leadership styles, sampling, social media, automation, just in case, quality, crowdfunding, functional objectives, and crisis management. We've done them all.
We've done them all
in 44 minutes. There we go.
No crisis in this live stream, was there?
So there's no guarantee those will appear. We're not saying they will appear, but it's best to be prepared, isn't it? Particularly when it comes to bits like crisis management, which are right at the end of the spec.
Yeah.
So often when teachers are pressed for time, not everything gets taught in the same depth. So hopefully that's been useful.
Great answers, Jim, wasn't he? Great answers.
I'm going to stick Alexandra's question in because it's just a new thing that's come up. So how does crisis management differ from contingency planning? Contingency planning is proactive. It's thinking about what might go wrong and how would we deal with it, or how do we stop it from happening. Crisis management is what happens when things do go wrong. That's basically the difference.
Yeah.
And how do you manage it effectively?
Yeah. Now, maybe the crisis relates to something they've already planned for, but often it doesn't, and that's one of the downsides of contingency planning. You can't plan for everything.
Question for application, G, on those 9 markers. Where do you get A to if you don't have a real world example? You don't need a real world example, do you? Unless, well, in paper 2, obviously, you do want to use the case study.
No, you don't have to have a real business in there. You could just talk about a market, an industry. For example, you could say, in the airline industry or on the retail industry or something like that. You don't have to have a real business in there.
You can make it. You can say, for example, a small hairdresser. If that example was relevant to the analysis, that's application.
Or a large supermarket, for example.
Yeah,
great stuff.
Right, well done. So, we've gone a little bit over today, but I think it's been worth it, hasn't it? Because these are new topics. So
we've done 3 live streams today, haven't we? For the first time ever.
I tell you what, G, should we do 3 more tomorrow? I think we should.
Yeah, we could do. I think we were talking about doing a 24-hour live-a-thon for Comic Relief, weren't we? Where we just log on for 24 hours. A million MCQs.
There's an idea. So tomorrow we are doing our deep dive, suitable for all exam boards, on investment decisions. So investment appraisal, decision trees, I'm guessing, will appear there. And then in the afternoon, 2:00, what we've done is we've picked out what we think are the trickiest topics, the topics that students find hardest, and also maybe the misconceptions. So we've built an entire 30 minutes or 35 minutes around those. So that's at 2:00 tomorrow. And then, then we take a break for a week as we get ready for our grade booster workshops. And then we're back after that. So if you found it useful, as always, give it a thumbs up. Spread the word. 2:00 tomorrow for AQA. 11:00 in the morning if you want to do some work on investment appraisal and decision trees. But for now, whilst we have a think about the 24-hour revision-a-thon later, thanks very much. Cheers, G, for all your efforts, as always.
Cheers, thank you. Toronto.
Cheers.